This one is because to me, I think this captures sort of the essence, honestly, of some of the educational environments around the country. And you know, we're all kind of, because here's what we do. We look at the people around us, and we use the people around us as a scorecard. And we compare ourselves to other districts and other states, and that's what we use for the scorecard. And that's a big-time problem. A big-time problem. Because comparison is not only the thief of joy, it's the creator of mediocrity. Let me explain. When you compare yourselves to the people around you, or to the teams around you, there's only two things that happen. Number one, you're not performing as well as they are. That's the thief of joy. If you've ever been in that position, and I promise you, I have, it's one of the things that I've struggled with. What happens is you start to envy the people, or you start to resent them. You start to be mad at those people, and you start to think about all of the things that you don't have instead of consciously being thankful for the things that you do have. Comparison is the thief of joy. But comparison is also the creator of mediocrity, because the other alternative is that if I'm comparing myself to somebody else, maybe I am outperforming them. And so what starts to happen is we start to go, well, you know, things aren't perfect around here, but at least I'm doing better than them, and we're doing better than them, and I'm doing, compared to that person, like I'm doing pretty good. And it starts to create this sort of escalator mentality where we go along and things are kind of working. And then it's like it creates mediocrity, because you know what happens? One day that escalator stops. And i.e. the economy crashes, or things change. And what do? We do the only thing we can do. We look at the person behind us, and we look at the person in front of us, and we go, what happened here? And whose fault is this? And who's going to fix it? And it's the government's fault. No, it's the mortgage banker's fault. No, it's the parents' fault. Well, really, it's the kid's fault. Actually, it's the teacher's fault. No, it's definitely the school board's fault. No, it's the government's fault. And all the while, the path to success is so obvious that unfortunately, at times, it becomes completely elusive. That if we stop comparing ourselves to other people, if we stop worrying about them, and we started to get really honest about challenging ourselves and the people around us to really live up to all the things that we were created for, and to really push ourselves to our own potential, regardless of what's happening around us, that's irrelevant. What matters is, are we reaching truly the best that we are capable of reaching? And being somebody that stands for that, and fights for that, and works for that, and holds that up as the standard. Suddenly, what we would find is that discipline comes alive in all of us. We start to activate, and we go to levels that we never knew were even possible. And folks, I also want to make sure too, like, I'm not above any of this stuff. The reason that I talk about this is I struggle with this every day. I have my whole life. I mean, there was a time 9 years ago, I was about 45 pounds heavier than I am right now. There was a time about 5 years ago where I had over $70,000 in personal debt. I've struggled with envy, I struggled with pride, I struggled with all of these things. And in fact, the way this whole take the stairs thing even started was kind of funny. I was walking along at an airport with a buddy of mine who knew I had been talking about self-discipline for some time. And so we're walking along, and I got on the escalator. And my friend looks at me and he goes, "Oh, Mr. Discipline. Can't even take the stairs." And after I smacked him, I realized the power of what he was saying. I was like, wow, take the stairs. Yeah, take the stairs. That's such a great metaphor. Yeah, you know what? Take the stairs. Yeah, that's going to be me. You know what? I'm going to take the stairs from now on. If there's an escalator and there's stairs, I'm taking the stairs, baby, from this moment forward. Just to be a reminder, a physical reminder that I'm willing to do the things that other people aren't, or I'm willing to do the things I know I should be doing, even if I don't want to. In fact, I'm going to climb the stairs in the 10 tallest buildings in the world to raise money for America's high schools. And not only that, I'm going to write a book called Take the Stairs. It's going to be a New York Times best-selling book. And he looked at me and he was like, dude, how are you going to do that? And I said, I have no idea. But the question was how. And we didn't worry about what we couldn't do. We started worrying about what we could do. We just started focusing on the things that we had in our control. So what did? We made a list of the 10 tallest staircases in the world. And I'm happy to announce that was about 4 years ago. So at this point, we have climbed now 5 of the 10 tallest staircases in the world. Now we have 5 left to go, these 5 that are circled. And believe it or not, it's harder than you would think to get permission to climb a building in Malaysia or Dubai. So I could really use a referral. But we'll get to it. So we started doing this. Well, this built some of the momentum that ended up leading to the book deal. So then we got a book deal, and our very own publisher told us, and I was so excited because I'm like, oh, this is going to be a New York Times best-selling book. And our very own publisher said, Rory, that's not a good goal to have. As a first-time author, it's not something you should focus on, because chances are you're going to be heartbroken. And they were just, they were trying to look out for me, but they were like, seriously, it just doesn't happen. And unless you're like an Olympic gold medalist, or you're a news anchor, or a movie star, or you're Snooki. And we said, no, you don't understand. How are we going to do this? We are going to figure out a way. And so here's the idea that we came up with, which was crazy at the time. Nobody thought this would work. We took all the money that they gave us for writing the book, and we went out and we got one of these. And we got a tour bus. And what I said is I started cold calling on high schools all around the country. And it was a lot harder than you would think. But I started calling on these high schools, and I said, look, I'll make you a deal. For 30 days, I'm going to waive my entire speaking fee. Right? This is how I make my living, right? As I'm speaking at national meetings and kickoff meetings and stuff like that. And I said, I'm going to waive my speaking fee. And I'm going to pay my own travel expenses, and I would like to come to your high school, and here's all I want. I want to borrow your auditorium one night free of charge. And I'll come for free, and I'll bring my whole team because we'll all be in the bus. And all I want for you to do is to invite all of the students, all of the coaches, all the community, the faculty, the staff, anybody who wants to come to this event, and I will teach all 7 strategies of the Take the Stairs principles, and I'll do it free, and it'll be free for them, except we will collect a suggested donation of $10 a head at the door, and then your high school will keep the money that night. I don't touch it. You can use it whatever you want for. It's your money, your fundraiser. I'm just coming out, and we'll see if we can impact some kids and have a good time. Well, we ended up doing 23 events in 30 days from New York to Seattle to San Diego. We saw thousands of students, hundreds of teachers, dozens of campuses. The book, it spreads like social media wildfire, right? So we hit #1 on Wall Street Journal, #1 on USA Today, #2 on New York Times. This whole thing starts swelling up, and most importantly, we raised tens of thousands of dollars for America's high schools, all in 30 days, when they said it couldn't be done just by asking the question, how? What is your how? What is that thing that you know you want to change in your life? Or what is that change you know you really want to make in the community, and maybe you're afraid to, or you're coming up against resistance? And I know I want to encourage you in that process. And here's a little action plan for you. The first thing is make the commitment. All right? Just make the commitment. Before you leave tomorrow, just make the commitment to make that one change, to focus on one thing and say, I'm going to really go after this. And just ask yourself the question, how? And I would love to stay in touch with you and encourage you in that journey. I do an online magazine twice a month that comes out with some of the latest research and statistics of the things we're finding inside of the different teams. And if you are willing to bring me your business card afterwards, I'll include you on that. And then I'll also email you something very cool, a solid digital bookmark. Send that right to you, so you can check that out. The other thing is to get a coach. I would encourage you to get a coach. Get somebody that is really checking in with you on a regular basis, who's really working with you to give you the encouragement and the strength and the support that you need to make those tough decisions, to hold you accountable. Because there's so much power in that. The best athletes in the world all have coaches. The best actors and entertainers, they all have coaches. The top leaders, they all have coaches. It's a characteristic of high-performing people. Now, sometimes people ask me, they say, well, Rory, can you coach me? We actually came up with a very cool way that I can sort of coach you directly and personally and stay in contact with you if you want to keep the conversation going. What we do is we've created this thing called the Daily Discipline. And every day for the first 90 days, I'll send you an email with like a little action item. And then at the end of the week, you'll get a 4 to 6 minute video from me. Just you know, me on camera, kind of coaching you through like a next step. So this is something that if you want to try it out, you can. It's not